So I'm not gonna get too much into detail in this because I don't see why it would be helpful for others to, focus on the negative stuff too much. But in 2018, I was really struggling disappointment after disappointment, and like trying so hard to get out of that rut. But the whole time God was sustaining my hope in a beautiful way, and He was truly sustaining me through that time. And yeah, He did not fail me anyway. But then finally things got worse, and mostly because I was disappointed so many times, and I lost my hope, and that's when things got difficult. And the worst part of this lasted for about 4 months. And yes, there were moments of relief, and sometimes the medicine worked better, and some days not so good, but it worked somewhat anyway. But mostly I was having a hard time the whole time. It was the most difficult part of my life that I've been through. And what made it so difficult was the mental part, of course. But even in the midst of all that, and even in the midst of hopelessness, I remember having a thought that one day this will make a great testimony. Maybe because I had heard so many testimonies of what God can do and does in people's lives. So God had planted many amazing seeds in my heart that were still there, even in the hopelessness. And my husband was also speaking life to me, and it's amazing, like, even in my deepest darkness, my husband was able to stay encouraged somehow. Like, I think that was God's grace, because he has mental struggles also. But during that time, he was doing pretty well, really. So that was helpful. I'm so grateful for how much he helped me. He was actually saying that one day, because we have this humor, that I'm like a little bird. So he said that one day you will be like a mother bird, telling her little ones or other little birds that I too was doubting before, but now I have seen the faithfulness of God, and I know He's trustworthy. And yeah, I think that has definitely come true now. That's kind of funny because now I have this ASMR channel, and partly that's what I am doing now. Like a mother bird teaching other birds that the Lord is reliable. Although I didn't believe that before, because it sure didn't look like it for a while. But He made a way. Okay, I realized that this video is gonna be so long that I have to leave out many details. So if you need more details, please contact me or write it in the comments or something. So now this year, after having this for this whole time. But nowadays, I only need a medicine for migraine like once a month or less, with some seasonal changes too. Sometimes more, sometimes less. And this spring I had like 2.5 months where I didn't need any. And I'm not even using the migraine medicine anymore that I used to use every day, but now I'm only using a relaxant, if something. So that's absolutely amazing and huge for me. And nowadays I'm having days without any headaches. So yeah, mostly I'm not having migraines at all, but some lighter headaches maybe sometimes, some lighter sensations. And mostly they just go away with the mental tools that I have. And the other symptoms are gone or way better and under control too. Well, that's a long story, so I'm not getting into that. And mentally I'm doing so much better, so much better. I'm gonna explain more soon. And I am not yet 100% recovered, so I'm still on my way, and I'm still gaining back on my ability to live a normal life. But this is already so huge, and I didn't want to wait any longer to share this. But it's no longer chronic. The migraines, I mean. And the migraines actually were healed mostly after like about 1.5 years. So I just have had other mental and physical stuff after that, mostly. And after 1.5 years, God freed me from the daily medicine that I used back then. And was easy. Like, compared to everything else that had been going on, it was very easy. And, yeah. It was such a prayer answer and a big victory on my journey. But of course, I'm not trying to say that any of this is like super easy, but it was definitely easy compared to what I had been thinking and compared to what I had already been going through daily. So yeah, definitely was not worth all the worrying and fearing, that's for sure. It was actually a wonderful thing. I believe it was the right time too. And the healing I had gained by now made it a lasting change. Because I had tried and weaned off of the medicine a couple times before, but it didn't last. And actually I had a shorter period, months before, where I naturally didn't need the medicine anymore. But then I got back to the rut once more. By the way, I did the weaning off at home with no extra help other than the relaxant in the evening and basic pain medicine that didn't really work for me anyway. And a surprising blessing was a new symptom that I had got just a little before. Maybe because of all the mental stuff and stress before that. So it became like this blessing because it was a great distraction from the migraines, because when I had that other symptom, I had less of the migraine one. Like, they couldn't exist at the same time. I have had that happen so many times after that. So that symptom was actually a big part of why it was so easy to recover from the migraines. And then the other symptom was easier to deal with. God truly can turn everything for our good. When I started this program, I did not have much faith left. Almost nothing. But I had enough faith to give it another try. Although I already had tried so many things and there's nothing new about it. It's in the Bible. From darkness to light. But I really experienced that. From going from doubt into faith again, one step at a time. And he provided the means that I needed to get there. And it's amazing nowadays to being able to reach, like, seeing so much life and feeling this cozy, comforted, secure place with God, even in circumstances or hearing stuff that happens in the world or whatever. Like, I'm of course still in the process in this, but it's amazing to notice how much change can happen in the mind and in the heart, like how much hope I can feel now. This is so difficult, I'm trying to explain to others, but it's like there's this amazing, beautiful garden in my mind now, where in the past there was only devastation. So I wasn't able to even imagine that before, but now I can access it. And it felt like back then as if I was like in a room where there's no way out and there's no door of hope. But when God opened that tiny little door out of that room and I was able to kind of crawl out step by step, then I stepped into this other place and I found another door, and that was maybe a little bigger, and then I went to another place and another door opened, and the more doors I went through, the more doors started to open. And now sometimes I feel like I'm in this place where there's so many doors of hope around me that I feel, sometimes I honestly feel overwhelmed. Like I don't know where to start. And that's one of my problems now. But like, it's like there's so much comfort in God. There's so much beauty to embrace, so many good things to focus on. If I believe that, yeah, so many doors of hope now. It's actually interesting that about a year before the most difficult year, I bumped into a Bible verse from Hosea that spoke to me in the moment where I really needed it, and I made a song out of it. And in the song I'm singing that I will turn the valley of Acre into a door of hope. And that's actually exactly what God did. And that's what it says in Hosea 2 somewhere. I will turn the valley of Acre into a door of hope. And this is what it looked like in my life. Also, I came to Christ when I was 12, and I never really experienced from going from darkness to light, like really what it looks like. That just wasn't really my experience. But now I know what it feels like. Yet I am still going through struggles a lot every now and then, but it's just amazing hope and life and comfort and joy. It's like finding heaven, and it's always available, and it's closer than I realized. And now I have the faith in my heart that I can find that place of hope in any moment, and that helps a lot. And sometimes I feel like I'm pulled from that place of darkness into the light just in one moment. And sometimes I'm even getting excited when I'm feeling the dark feelings, and thoughts, worst case scenarios or whatever, trying to pull me down. Sometimes I'm starting to get excited because I'm like, oh, this means that I'm just gonna find something amazing. I'm just gonna see God's goodness and His beauty in a whole new way, because I've had that happen so many times. I'm starting to expect something amazing happening, and then usually it happens too. And that in itself can be the victory. Start expecting something. So I don't really feel like a slave to those things anymore like I did back then. But as I said, I feel like it's a lifelong journey that I just keep growing in this and being strengthened in this the whole time. So I'm not saying that this is like always the case, but more and more it is so, and He's strengthening my faith more. So the darkness cannot take over anymore. Although I use this program, DNRS, for healing, it was more like a functional tool that I needed, and something to help me hope again. But what really actually healed me was the love of Christ and the truth of the gospel that has freed me so much and continues to, because I still need that. And God's goodness, just seeing what He's like, and faith in general. So basically the relationship with God combined with the information and the tools that I have gotten from this program. But it's the tools that have actually led me to these truths, So they're kind of all in one package, I guess. And later on, I have bumped into some things in the program that just have been unhelpful on my healing journey, and right now I am still using some aspects of the program and the information that I've gotten from it, but mostly I am not using the tools like how I did at the beginning. So God has also led me to other things that I need for my mind that I didn't get from the program. So there are so many different tools that you can use to retrain your brain. But it's very helpful to have a program like this just to get the basic information on how your brain works. And then you can find the tools that work for you the best. And DNRS is providing pretty good information and tools, in my opinion. But I would say be aware also of version of the program and skip the stuff that I felt came from New Age teachings. I kind of took the things that were good and left the other things out. So, yeah. Well, that's a long story, but that's not for this video. I'm trying to keep this short, but of course it's super difficult. And always, if you feel need, you're free to contact me. Well, you can comment on this video, and if need be, I'm gonna share my email address so you can ask more questions there. Okay, so that's all I had for this video. Check my brain retraining tips videos if you want to. I have a playlist so you can gain more information on the tools I've used. Those are not like the DNRS tools, but more of the things that I've discovered myself during the program. But those are very helpful. And check the link in the description for DNRS if you're interested. I really hope this was helpful and gave you hope today. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Just to walk with you in the rain, no pain, just strength, just hope for tomorrow, just to run with you through the fields, no fear, just joy, just freedom and peace. This will be my future. Oh, this will be my life. I know, 'cause your love, it always will. stay.